just by speaking for themselves in game. Number 1 in Lightshade. Down here in the bottom position, he is Afrika Freaks Stats.
And in the upper left, you talked about the shield divider. Well, ByuN is the immovable object, just spawning in the upper right. In the red, he's a Terran. He's ByuN. And he's not on a barcode. He is on his official ByuN account. There is no speak now.
No.
There is no barcode here. We get to see the one and the only, the player that holds his name. And that made no sense, but it's okay. Because you all know what I'm saying.
I mean, this is how you know it's serious when he actually plays on his real account. Usually we see him on his Speak Now account. That's like his kind of secondary main account. But now he's actually playing on his GSL level account, so he is going to bring that power up to about 15, maybe 20 if we're lucky.
Yeah, I could not be more excited for these games. You know, we're talking about this, and we were talking about the pre-show a little bit earlier, that this is going to be an incredible stylistic mismatch. Of course, Stats, he's the shield of ire. He is the man that no one can break. Or if you break him, well, you count yourself one of very few. And ByuN, he is one of the most aggressive Terrans that we have. I mean, sure, you think of Maru. Maru, post his shoulder injury, has been a lot more defensive. And that's pretty much the only parallel we have. Maybe Clem in the European scene, but even Clem is maybe not quite as aggressive as ByuN can be. So we're going to see this really interesting stylistic matchup coming in over these, hopefully, 9 games. The immovable object versus the unstoppable force. And I think outside of, some sort of nuclear disaster, I'm excited to see what's going to happen as these two styles headbutt.
Yeah, I think one of the important things about... Yeah, I think one of the big things about ByuN is he is actually one of those Terrans who set the meta. He's not content with just staying with current or even previous Terran form. He's the one who built up the 2-1-1 and the 3-Rax Reaper. Literally, he is the player who got the Reaper nerfed all the way back in 2016. So that kind of tells you what kind of aggressive player he can be, is when the aggressive units don't hit hard because of him. But right now already has a pretty good start here, getting that first probe and just kind of keeping that adept out of the main base, making sure that he is very safe for any kind of push. And I'm really excited to see where he's going to go with this, because it looks like we're going to be seeing some sort of Hellion play, and that just I'm speechless against him already, because ByuN is just so good at it.
Yeah, I would not be surprised. Again, we don't see any Reaper coming out of this, so you're not going to see the two Hellions and the Reaper going to go in to try to bounce the wall or do something. And with the starport coming up here, I think we're probably going to see something closer to like a 4 Hellion drop, maybe with some pressure in the front. But I do like what Stats was doing there early on. You notice he moves out with a Stalker, with an Adept, to do what he can to try to shave away at the units of ByuN, because he knows that while ByuN, he likes to be aggressive, he likes to do some crazy stuff, likes to do some zany stuff, and he was doing this against Stats in the GSL as well, where he moves off with these really small unit, actually against Maru as well, we moved in with these really small unit counts and things that you wouldn't expect to work, but because he's ByuN and because he hits these weird timings, well, they absolutely do work. And of course, it takes 3 Hellion shots to kill probes, but now we have 4 in here, and 7 workers are going down in the blink of an eye. ByuN finding these timings where these timings really shouldn't exist, and sure, Stalkers are there, and sure, they can do great damage, but the middle line of Stats is gone, and now Stats here down 10 workers in a game where you would not expect him to be down at all.
Not to mention, there's a lot of great scouting information coming out with this. He sees that Blink is being researched, but now any kind of timing that Stats wants to hit is significantly slowed down because he's not going to have the mineral income to deal with this. On the other side, ByuN, he does have a few units here. It looks like he's going to be adding on an additional reactor here, probably just to switch over to medevac production as quickly as possible. But he already has Marauders on the way. Stim almost complete. And, I mean, behind this, we're going to see another big push come out from him. All he has to do is hold here versus this very non-committal pressure from Stats.
Well, you say that. I think we're going to see Stats commit maybe a little bit more than he would normally do because, again, he has to make that damage back. And the one bright side for stats here, sure, Stim is just about done.
Oh,
Actual,
no.
it doesn't matter if it's just about done. He's going to target it down. The SCVs have not only just now getting pulled. And Stim 4-3, it's going to go down. That is massive there. Stats finding the one opening that he maybe could find. And sure, the fact that there are no tanks for ByuN, sure, that helps him. But I mean, man, getting Stim with 1 second to go, that's insane. There's no follow on Tech Lab as well. Only just now getting up, and it will be denied as well. Stats has found his opening.
I think this is about as best you can get here. Every single Terran in the chat probably just cringed their minds out at that. A little bit of good micro trying to keep those Marauders alive, but these SCVs are going to start to fall as the Marauders are gone. A little bit of good blink micro, going to just make sure that they are not going to lose any Stalkers here. And I think you're right. He found this perfect little bit of timing, and he will get cleaned up here a little bit, but that Zealot warp in just, oh my god, he made everything back here.
Well, you say that, he's still only up 1 worker, and he's again, you know, when you're dealing with Terrans, right, you want to be up those 5, 6, 7 workers at this point in the game, just because of how Chrono works and because of how Mules work. That's kind of your macro advantage. So, ByuN found an opening, or Stats found an opening, right? He got Stim. Stim is still not even started yet. That is definitely a misstep there. ByuN has not even really had the time to rebuild that Tech Lab to get himself where he needs to be. But on the flip side, right, Stats, he has only equalized the worker count. His economy is not where it needs to be. We do not have a 3rd base on the way. We don't have any upgrades here. +1 is just about done for ByuN. And Stats is going to have to fight hard to make sure that ByuN stays in his base. That Stats has the room to take that 3rd that he's now going for. That Stats has the room to get up into Colossi effectively. Has room to get into those upgrades that he so desperately needs. And he doesn't have them yet.
Yeah, it looks like Stats is actually just going to be committing so much here. I don't think we've seen worker produced on his side for quite a bit of time. He's just very content to, like you said, keep ByuN in his base and also get some really nice small pickoffs here with the SCVs. Kind of force ByuN into unfavorable positions with his units. And overall, I mean, you're right. He is giving himself a lot of time to get up to that Colossus count. You see the first one on the way with extended Thermal Lance. Just the pickoffs are getting pretty nice for Stats in the front. He just has to be very careful not to take too much damage from those tank shots in the front.
Yeah, if we look at loot units last year, Stats has lost less over the course of this game than ByuN has. The only scary thing for Stats really at the moment was how early he lost those probes. He was knocked down to what, 27 when the Terran was almost fully saturated on 2 bases. So only now, 3-4 minutes later, after all the damage that Stats has done, has the income normalized, has it equalized here. And we can see that here in the supplies of ByuN and of Stats. Stats, he did great damage. He didn't really trade that many Stalkers out, to be totally honest. He only lost, what, 8? That's not all that bad. But still, ByuN is up rather significantly in army supply. And, you know, this is actually something we did see in the GSL the other night, where ByuN really, when I think of ByuN, I don't think of his macro ability per se. I think of his incredible micro, his ability to multitask, all these things. But ByuN has been on top of it from a macro perspective. I mean, he's just hitting that. I don't think I've seen his resources go above like 500 minerals unless he's, say, building a command center or something. So he's done a great job of keeping his money low and making sure he gets what he wants. But he's got that micro as well, as we see him pick up and drop tanks to make sure that he is actually able to move across the map. But this is exactly what Stats wants. Any siege up that Stats is able to force is that much closer to disruptors coming out, is that much closer to charge being done, is that much closer to Stats having the type of army that he needs to be able to, well, to flank this, to be able to swallow it up with the might of the Protoss military engine.
Yeah, I think the big thing is here, he does have those 2 Colossus, which are going to be able to help him out. He's got to be careful not to go too far down this ramp. He already loses quite a bit of damage on those siege tanks from the disruptor hits, so ByuN not really able to get up this ramp right now. I think this is really where Stats is going to make his big stand versus this big force. Currently, we only see about 2 Vikings. We only see 2 Vikings on the field, so those Colossus not really going to have too much damage done, but there is still just not that much to tank for them in the front now.
No, absolutely. And those tanks are in an incredible position, doing a great job of covering these Vikings, which means it's going to be difficult for the Colossi to really get what they want. And, you know, honestly, as annoying as it is for Stats to lose his production here, I don't hate the fact that there's no longer not nearly as much of a choke, but now we do have Stats going on in. Disruptor Ball is just going to kill off all the Zealots, but the tanks are down, and this is not a Terran army that can fight, that can deal with the amount of splash that our Protoss has here. And if we look in the bottom left, of course, as this happens, we do have a Warpin coming here from Stats. He's getting ready to go to the counterattack, and see, it's a massive Disruptor shot. And Stats, well, I think he's equalized just about everything here. He's got his third base far in advance of ByuN. He has, well, he's got a counterattack coming in now. He has upgrades. Sure, he's down. He's 1-1 versus +1, but that's a normal Protoss game. He has the splash he wants. He has what he needs to be able to find his way into the mid game, into the late game, to be able to establish himself in this game number 1 on Lightshade.
Yeah, I think at this point now, as Stats, you can really just safely start to tech up. But we see ByuN sending out a little bit of a Liberator attack, but that is going to get picked off in the middle of the map. And other than that now, Stats, looks like he just really wants to establish his forward position, just keep his presence out to make sure that ByuN does not send any units out, that he has no vision, and just kind of, like, I don't think this is enough to end the game, mostly, unless these Disruptors get some massive hits, one decent one there. But, yeah, Stats might overextend a little bit here if he's not too careful.
Oh no, Stats, he blinks on top of the Liberator and says, you know, I want to kill you, but he targets the rocks. So he takes that much more damage, but it doesn't end up really mattering, as there's a Warpin in the main base, there's a Warpin in the natural, there's a Warpin in the third, there's Protoss everywhere, and Stats takes game number 1.
An excellent start to this series. Yeah, I mean, Stats just showing really that he cannot be broken by conventional methods, and especially when he was able to kind of slow down that stim timing, make sure that ByuN had as little advantage as possible during those attacks.
No, absolutely. You know, that attack, that damage that Stats took in the beginning of that game, that would have killed any human. Luckily for us, luckily for the viewers here, I'm pretty sure that Stats is not human. Stats has transcended the mortal realm, has found his way into the realm of gods. And he certainly showed it in that game.
I definitely don't disagree with that. Looks like both of our players are ready. No rest for the wicked, Beowulf, as we're already going to be hopping into game number 2 on Pillars of Gold.
You know, I can't say I am upset. It means I get to sleep at some point tonight, even as, you know, with games like these, I'll stay up all night for them.
Oh,
but
no.
As we get ready to go into game number 2, we should probably take a moment to point out that, sure, the Matcherino code, I believe it's pinned in chat, it has been all used. You cannot provide free money to this prize pool anymore, fortunately or unfortunately, as how you view things. But there are plenty of ways for you to boost the prize pool regardless. The replay pack for this tournament is currently selling for about $3. You can get all, however many games that go up, at least 5. You can get jerseys and other things, and all of those directly contribute to the prize pool. But I'll stop talking because I believe our players are loaded into game number 2.
They are indeed, but you know what? They are well deserving of that $200+ that they're going to be getting. And speaking of award-winning players, spawning down here in the bottom position, he is Stats.
And his opponent in the bottom right, the king of attacking everywhere at once, in the red, it's ByuN. And man, it's incredible. You know, ByuN, of course, made history a couple years ago for being the first player without a team to ever win a GSL in the post-Kespa era, or in the Kespa and post-Kespa era.
Right.
And now he's back. And it was incredible to me then that no one picked him up. That no one said, hey, ByuN, we want to support you. You know, you're incredible. And I don't know, maybe that was ByuN himself saying, no, I want to do this on my own. But now he's back, and he's looking good. Sure, he got knocked. Sure, he did not make the round of 8, but again, this was, I mean, that was an incredible group. I think this season, the GSL, the round of 16, has been one of the most stacked round of 16s I've seen in quite a while. Well, every group pretty much was a group of death.
I mean, that's the thing about ByuN as well. He is not content with just one tournament. He actually played in the King of Battles qualifier, only just barely did not make the cut. He actually lost to Solar in the final losers bracket round that he played in. And, I mean, against Solar, the players he's losing to are the players that are pretty much expected to win pretty much everything every year. They're really consistent. They haven't had that break to go to social service. or military service as ByuN had. So the fact that he's able to still come in and take down quite a few of them is still a really amazing thing to see.
I mean, you talk about that. I mean, look, he topped his round of 24 group for the GSL.
Yeah.
Over Parting as well. I believe he 2-0'd Parting in that match. So I mean, he's certainly no slouch in PvT as quote unquote Protoss favorite is the match at the moment. It's actually interesting. I looked up the balance report from Iligulac before we did this tournament because the last time I did a long extended best of 9 for PvT, it was Parting versus Innovation. Parting 5-1 and said, hey, and told us afterwards, hey, look, Protoss is Imba, right? This is the balance team. Maybe they made a little bit of mistake. Protoss is Imba. I feel bad for the Terrans. And that was true. All right, you see this massive spike after the most recent patch. I believe it's 5.02, 5.0.2. But anyway, you see that spike up to about 55% positive for the Protoss. But recently in the last, I believe the last month of the balance report, it's reverted back to the norm. The balance is sitting right back at about 50% once again. I don't know what that is, because of course there were no balance changes, and that doesn't really reflect the new map pool yet. But I'm interested to find out here. Interested to find out what stats, what ByuN are going to teach us about this, because again, I don't think it's not quite as the win rates are not quite as imbalanced as they were.
No, indeed. Like I think it's. I don't want to say it's kind of like you said it's normalized a lot, and I think that's just because the players have effectively been getting better over time, and a lot of things have been figured out over the past 10 to 2,000 years of StarCraft, however long it's been going on, you know? So I think there's not that much new stuff to figure out until we get a new patch where we find out that everything is indeed as broken as it seems. But you know, speaking of broken, ByuN here is actually going for one of his patented broken builds here. He's got 3 racks, no factory on the way, 3rd CC already, and Stim is about halfway complete. So this is about as broken as it can get from this guy, all on aggression early on.
Yeah, this is so incredibly greedy, and I know it sounds weird. Oh yes, he's getting 3 barracks before a factory. He's going to have a lot of Marines and Marauders. Well, actually just Marines here. How could that be greedy? Well, we have a 3rd base on the way. 3rd base done. Well, it's not in position yet. And he has not gotten any higher tech. He's just going to pile in. He's going to get his economy to where it needs to be. Going to have that third orbital for just pounding mules in. And he's greeding up early so he can be aggressive faster, right? That's kind of the way things go out here. And the one thing that I find rather interesting is, of course, +1 is going to be so heavily desynced from Stim. So I think what we're going to see here is we're going to see that timing with 16 odd Marines, probably with 2 medevacs, 16 Marines, maybe even less, maybe even not medevacs. And then on the follow-up is going to be that +1 combat shield timing. But it looks like Stats not really content with letting ByuN move out on the map on his own, because Stats did scout the fact that this was in fact 3 racks opener. He says, You know what? No, you have no tanks. I know you probably have Stim, but you have no tanks, so I think I can put some pressure on.
Yeah, one thing to note as well, Stats has already got his Robo Bay up. Colossus production has started, and that's kind of showing how greedily Stats wants to tech up as well in terms of getting those high-tier Colossus to clean this up. So ByuN is kind of on a timer with this, you know. Marines, they're really good, but they just get shredded to Colossus fire if you're not careful, especially when going up a ramp. So the question is, when is ByuN going to move out? My guess is going to be when those 2 medevacs come in. But by then, you're going to have a Colossus. Charge is going to be about halfway complete. So I think Stats is actually set up to defend pretty darn well versus this. We'll have to see, though, because there is so much micro potential with this army.
Well, we talk about the 2 medevacs coming out. That is the timing right now, and this is so well timed out. We have +1 just about done. We have concussive shells done. As I say this, we have combat shields just about done. So I really like this from Stats. He's sitting out here before all of these upgrades complete. He's shaving off as much as he can. He gets a Marauder. He gets a couple of Marines. And all of these things, they take some of the teeth out from this push that ByuN wants to do. But this is no longer just going to be a strict push, and I really like this from ByuN. He says, look, I've been found out. Okay, I'm going to put pressure on your 3rd base, but the important thing, the thing that I really want to have happen is I'm going to set 2 medevacs into your main base while I distract at the 3rd. So I'm going to pull your army away. and that's how I'm going to do my damage. But Stats already seems to be on top of this, and that drop is going to be shoot away without too much issue.
Yeah, and the big, a little bit the note here, this does mean that +1 armor is going to be was a little bit delayed from ByuN just because he did invest so much into getting this push up and running. He does get a nice pylon snipe here, but that's going to probably be about the extent of his damage with these stalkers in position. I think overall here now, ByuN can kind of just position himself for this double prong. The question is whether he can actually get in, as Stats has that third base up and running. He's currently up a couple of workers. And behind this, it looks like ByuN is just going to start adding in those Widow Mines as Stats techs up again. But here we go. ByuN going to dive into the natural a little bit here. Unfortunately, he's going to get a full medevac picked off as well as the rest of his army. So that's about half of his forces gone. And I think he's gonna have to back up here for a little bit.
Yeah, and I gotta question the decision to add so many Widow Mines to make that such a bulk of your army at this point in the game, because we have Disruptors out, we have Colossus out, all of these things that outrange the Widow Mine to the extreme. It kind of, I'm not gonna say it invalidates the Widow Mine, but it makes it that much harder to get the damage done because the Protoss player sits there on hold position, clears the Widow Mines, and then engages.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And now a lot of ByuN's army is actually just going to be sitting out there looking to position himself in a way where he could just pick up and drop. But that means there is a lot less forces here out by the third. A nice couple of pickoffs here from those Widow Mines, going to get some damage done onto the Archons, but unfortunately they're going to go down, so the main fight is going to be without a lot of that splash damage. And
yeah, now we do have... Oh, I really like this for ByuN or for Stats actually. Stats is going to blink on top of these Widow Mines, clear them all. Well, they've already fired. Going to clear them all out, and there is going to be so much. ByuN's probably actually going to get supply blocked here. Right now, he should be fine, but he's going to lose so much supply depots. More and more SCVs going down, and the third has been breached. ByuN really does not have the majority of his army here. That was all in a drop. Now he's going to go coming in, doing what he can. That Disruptor shot's going to be pretty daggone good. And now the army of ByuN doing what it can to try to push through here. But the Colossi, the Stalkers, they may just be a little bit too much as Stats blinks in once again, gets a couple more medevacs, and Stats has been incredible at doing that in this game. More and more medevacs going down. We're going to see the Widow Mines not targeted down. They will force Stats back for the time being. But again, while Stats may have overstayed his welcome here, as ByuN has enough, he's going to be able to stim on top of this entire Protoss army, killing everything. Or no, he's not. Okay, now the Colossus is going to go down, but the Protoss army survives. And look at the supply passer. Look at the supply. 115 supply to 79. Stats in a massive lead here in this game number 2.
Now, the one good thing is he did keep that third CC alive, so the Mules, they're not as OP as people think, but it is going to help him out a little bit here. But you're right, a lot of that Protoss army is just sitting out there. A lot of Gateway units, a lot of Disruptors still alive. The Colossus may be gone, but not in Stats' heart, as he's just going to try and keep this push going to a victory as ByuN doing whatever he can with what little he has, heading straight for Stats' main.
Yeah, but I gotta wonder, I mean, sure, it's great to counterattack. Sure, it's great to do some sort of counter damage, but does that even matter if you can't hold your own bases? Now the third base is under fire. The fourth base, actually, it's interesting. ByuN, he was getting ready to build a planetary, but no, that is just an orbital that cannot hold itself together, as we do have Stats warping into the main as well. And sure, this is good damage from ByuN. Sure, he has the potential to get a decent work done, but does it even matter here? As Stats doubles his supply, Stats in his natural, in his main. Oh.
Yeah. Yeah, this is pretty much a tap out here. ByuN, he got a lot right here. It's just, unfortunately, he was found out, and Stats just really has so much information in this game, and he was already set up to deal with those early blows and get into that mid to late game where he just absolutely decimates. And so that's really what allowed him to push forward in this game and just kind of make ByuN look a little bit sad in that regard. Not too bad here. ByuN still has a lot of chances to come back. Stats needs to get 3 more. ByuN needs to get 5. And you know, those numbers are pretty close together if my math is correct, but I don't do math on stream, so I don't know if that's good.
Yep, and it looks like we're going to have Death Aura for the next game, and Pillars of Gold, of course, Lightscape. Is it Lightshade or Lightscape?
Light.
It's Lightscape.
Light Shade.
But it looks kind of like Nightshade, or it reminds me of Nightshade a little in how it plays. But anyway,
Yeah,
ByuN,
well,
of course, this map, there's a little bit more room. He can maybe get some drops done. He can maybe do what he can to try to multitask his opponent out of the game that he just really wasn't able to do in the first couple games.
Oh, yeah, I am ready for it here, especially, you know, they don't really come into play too much during this game, but I really like those little fights in the acceleration zone. They're really just fun to watch. I think that's my favorite thing about this map. And I'm so glad that they added actually another map with those acceleration zones.
Yeah, I'm excited to see our Jagannatha game because again that we should get a longer game there. It's rather hard to get across the map and kill your opponent. But yeah, it's really fun to go see disruptor balls go in and dealing with that.
Yeah, so much fun. But guys, we have 2 players ready to battle it out here on Aura for our next map, spawning up here in the top position, absolutely steamrolling this series at this point. He is Stats.
And his opponent in the bottom right looking for some avenue, some way to claw his way back into this series. In the red, it's ByuN.
And you know what? I think he's just kind of tired of going to the mid game here. We have a rogue SCV. He's going full Maru here with this.
I'd say this is a ByuN SCV. Rogue plays Zerg, so he doesn't really have SCVs.
Did I say Rogue?
But the interesting thing here is we do have a barracks in the main base. So this is, I don't think this is going to be a proxy barracks, but of course ByuN, he did go gas first. So I think we're more likely to see here, although this may just be a scouting SCV.
Oh, that's
interesting. This is a rather early scouting SCV. But anyway. Okay, so this eBay block, that makes sense.
Yeah, that is more typical of ByuN style. He really likes throwing down that NG Bay when he gets the opportunity to. And now it just kind of has Stats pulling down of those 4 workers to deal with it. It doesn't really hurt his economy too much, but it is kind of just a nuisance to deal with because Stats at this time would be wanting to throw down that second Nexus. Just kind of small little nuisances.
But behind this, of course, we do have ByuN going for a 1-1-1. There is no command center on the horizon. ByuN, he wants to get something done, and I think the most... I wonder. So, I saw a rather cool 1-base, and I believe it was on Death Aura as well, 1-base TvP build that looked a lot like this, and we're going to have to see what happens. That Cure actually did when he 2-0 Zest in the King of Battle qualifier, where it was a 1-base burrowed Armory Widowmine. I guess we can call it all in. Yeah, it was off 1 base, where you just keep dropping and you get burrowed Widowmines before there's any chance of an observer coming in, and it did great work. It just shredded Stats. I don't know if that's what we're going to see here, and it actually does not look like it, as now we do have Hellions on the way. So I think we're just going to get some Hellion drops instead. I got excited. I told you what I wanted to see, but nah, especially not with the starport being proxied on the map. That's not quite.
Yeah, I do like this, however, because if Stats isn't paying attention to his main base, he's really going to have some issues here. But are these guys just allergic to buildings in their own base here? Because we also have Stats on the other side proxying a pylon. I think this is just going to be a forward pylon to attack with, as we do have Twilight Council once again going down. So we might be seeing more Blink. I don't think it's necessarily going to be for DTs, although a kid can dream. But
no, it's gonna be DTs. That is absolutely a DT pylon right there. I'm just listening, like, I'm listening to Pastor. He's like, yeah, it's not gonna be DTs, and I'm looking at the probe, and the probe's still there, and where that is, I'm like, oh no, man, it's DTs. It's gonna be Stats that wants to be a little bit sneaky here in this game number 3.
Now that might be
gone standard.
I mean, that might be his downfall a little bit here, because he does not have that many units back at home, as Warp Gate is going to finish, but he only has that 1 gateway finished. So these Hellions are actually going to be able to come in here and maybe get some massive approach damage before these guys from the main base, or natural rather, actually make it up here.
So you remember, the number we're looking for is 8, right? 8 is where it is kind of the number that ByuN looks for. It says, okay, look, this paid for itself. Any more? Oh no, that lineup. ByuN's just gotta get 1 shot. No. Okay, he's barely keeps it alive. but 8 is the number, right? Anything more than that, you're like, okay, I did good work. Anything less, you're like, okay, this wasn't worth it. But with 14 workers going down, Stats is going to have to, well, actually, as I say 14, 16 workers going down here. Stats is not in a great situation whatsoever. He's going to have to get so much work done with these Dark Templar.
Yeah, and you know what? ByuN is actually going to be gearing up for another attack. He's got those siege tanks on the way. No scans up just yet, but he's got to feel like something must be up here at this point because he did not see that many units. He did not see that Twilight Council building anything, so he's got to know that the DTs is a big possibility here, and actually he does recognize the DT from the little bit of a shimmer that you get on the map and the fact that it just attacked a Marine.
This is so smart. So what Stats is doing here, he says, look, I don't think you have a scan. You're reacting as if you don't have a scan. What if I just kill your army before you have a scan up? It doesn't matter if you scan or not, right? But now it looks like there is enough production here from ByuN, so Stats can go. He's going to kill a bunch of workers, killing a bunch of workers in the natural as well. And this is not just some DT pressure. We have Stalkers. We have Adept. We have just pretty much, we have the kitchen sink coming in here for Stats as he tries to find his way in, and that supply depot will just barely not survive. Now, of course, what Stats has to do next, he has to take care of these missile turrets, so the Dark Templar can get what they want. But no, the missile turrets do go down, and now Stats, well, he's going to be forced back sooner rather than later. But 12 workers have gone down. Stats now has the worker lead once again, and I think he's equalized.
Yeah, I do think these DTs did get the damage that they needed done, especially just in laying that mining from the natural for quite a bit of time. But I lost my train of thought there because I totally forgot what was going on in this game. But DT, but yeah, now with that attack, Stats has equalized a little bit. He's still being a bit of a nuisance here, just right outside of scan range, forcing those scans, making sure that ByuN can't recover with those mules.
But yeah, I really do like that there. That DT, of course, really was not going to be able to get a whole lot done with how many missile turrets there exist in that map, and how much production there is. So if I can force a mule, that's what, is that what, 250 mineral? How much is a mule
That's
worth?
about 250 minerals, yeah.
Yeah.
Now, one little misstep here for Stats. He was out on the map and actually lost a Stalker really quickly there, and ByuN is going to look to get a little bit of an attack going on his own. He has to be careful not to lose these siege tanks, however, as one does go down very quickly.
Yeah, that is absolutely the kind of thing that Stats is looking for. He says, you know what? I'm going to make it so hard for you to move across the map. But you know one thing I would like to see? And Stats going for it here. Oh, okay, never mind, just an Archon. Is with how few scans ByuN has. And ByuN has fallen victim to this in the past. I believe it was against Parting where he was in a wing position. He moves across the map. He runs out of scans. He's forced back because of Dark Templar. With only 2 command centers, and with how much ByuN has to be spending on mules to be able to try to come back into this game from an economic position, I would really like to see him go and just drop DTs one by one to force those scans out. But now with the Immortal here, with these Stalkers here, this is not a scary Terran force in the slightest. And sure, it may trade out for these Stalkers, but not even then, because, well, Stalkers, they are so much more migrable. They can do so much more than Marines can. But what do we have in the main base here for? Okay, it looks like it died. Something killed 2 probes.
I think it might. That can't be. It couldn't have been a Widow Mine, would it?
No, it was a Viking drop going on the way in. We did see ByuN building that a bit ago, and there's now 1 Viking that is dead. And Vikings, they kill mechanical units incredibly quickly. So dropping that into the main base did mean 2 probes went down. And Stats, I don't know about this one, man. This is 1 Immortal and 3 Stalkers.
He's gonna.
But okay, now we do.
Okay, yeah. You got to focus down that Immortal before you can really get anything done with this, because that is just such a heavy hitter versus the Marauders. He does bleed out quite a few bio units to deal with this. I think the Stalkers may just barely get taken down here. And yeah, with the reinforcements, that's going to be enough. But 6 more workers going down. Honestly, I kind of feel that this is a game of overcommitments from both sides here. Both sides really just trading out their armies a lot.
I don't know if it's a game of overcommitments, because that's not how this game started.
Yeah.
But it's a game of both players kind of feeling that they are not in the most comfortable position. So they're looking for any sort of avenue, any sort of route to make sure that they maybe can find a way back in, to find themselves back into a comfortable position once again. As we do have the Stalkers bypassing the entirety of the Terran army, finding their way on into this natural of ByuN. They're going to get a medevac, so that's real nice here. Any sort of healing that you can remove on top of the continued worker damage. And get 7 workers, gets a medevac. recalls out. That was a great move from Stats there.
Yeah, that was fantastic because ByuN was moving across the map looking to attack here, but then he had to stim back. And like you said, with those medevac pickoffs, you just can't really stim that often, so your attack is just going to get weaker every single time you try and get in there. But yeah, it looks like ByuN is going to waste a little bit more time. He wants to open up that attack path, try and make it a little bit easier to get across. But Stats already recognizes this and is prepared for those pickoffs with these 4 stalkers.
So, of course, the thing that Stats has to worry about here is he is not quite as prepared as he was the last time this happened. Extended Thermal Lance is not there. Charge is not there. +1 is not all that close to being finished. So this is a scarier army for ByuN than we saw in the previous game when ByuN went for a similar timing. I mean, granted, it's a different build, but the game's kind of resulted the same. But of course, these Widowmines are not going to get a whole lot done. As he goes and he blinks, he outblinks the Widowmine. Always cool to see that micro.
Oh, this is so risky here for ByuN. He got a whole pickup, and there is so many stalkers there ready to pounce on that. So ByuN is going to be pushed back. You know, if he can get in there, I would love to see it. But at this stage in the game, it's going to be really difficult to do that because now Stats does have enough army to kind of split between the 2 bases to defend against small amounts of Terran aggression. At this point, it's just going to... I don't know. It's starting to snowball for Stats here just a little bit. Even looking at that army supply in ByuN's favor, I don't know. I don't know, Bayo. It's...
Yeah, you know, I really like this position Stats is, but I really like here is we see him getting Warp Prism speed, and that's not something you see Protoss players get for the most part early on. Something you maybe fill on into the late game, but Stats, and actually we're starting to see Protoss players do this more and more, putting such a premium on things, right? Because that means the Warp Prism is pretty much guaranteed to get into the Terran main base, and when you're dealing with a player as aggressive as ByuN, right? If you can sneak that Warp Prism in, drop 10 Zealots onto the main base where there's nothing there because the Terran is just going at balls to the wall aggression, that's a good way to win a game. We've seen Stats do that so often here in the GSL. And the one thing we should point out, ByuN was able to kill the Dark Shrine. So that's going to be not going to be a thing for, well, for quite a while if he ever decides to rebuild it.
Yeah, I do like this though. We've got a little bit of a backstab here. The DT does get in and get about 4 workers there, but the 5th will get canceled and might get out of there with all of that. So that's kind of those small moves that ByuN needs to do to get back in this game. Not lose those medevacs, get in there, do a little bit of damage, and then back up, regroup his army, and prepare for the next engagement.
Oh no, absolutely. And this is the hallmark of the great players versus the mediocre ones versus the very good ones. Actually, you're doing a great job. He's going to be able to catch a Disruptor, but of course Disruptor Bells will force him back. But anyway, so one of the hallmarks of these great players, right, is you see them go and they play 2 games at the same time. They have their army on the right, they have their army at the left, and they know just how to balance each. And sure, you know, maybe there's a time for a push through the middle once you've done enough damage or you found a weakness, but we see players like Maru, players like Clem, players like ByuN, these top-tier Terran players, where they're attacking on 2 fronts at the same time. They're playing 2 games for the price of 1. So you have ByuN stimming on here into the 4th base. This 4th base should get canceled once again. Actually, looks like Stats does have enough.
Yeah, he just pulled his whole army over here to deal with this, and I think that's kind of the move you need to. ByuN rotating around with his 2nd army as well towards that 3rd base location. Stats actually struggling to get that 4th base up, and now he's going to just chase this entire army of ByuN all the way back to his own 4th base, and I think there's not that much here. So yeah, ByuN is going to have to hold here while also, oh no, ByuN, you could have attacked into there, I feel.
No, he tried. He had there were a lot of charge less, and that 1 Colossus meant that he just didn't really have the army he needs. And oh man, that Disruptor shot, if it keeps going, so much potential damage.
Yeah, I'm loving the
splits. ByuN will be rebuffed.
I'm loving the splits.
This, ByuN says,
oh no. Like,
he's actually not going to get it. I was going to say, man, his army on the right didn't get a whole lot done, but now he's prepared for a full 360 surround of the army of Stats, and it looks like he's going to get it all the same, and Stats has to be careful here.
Oh, yeah, it's going to have to rely on those Disruptors. One huge shot.
He's getting those shots.
Yeah, that's going to help him out a lot.
Getting those Disruptor shots.
Oh, yeah, there's still a lot of Marauders here. He's going to pick off a couple of Disruptors, but unfortunately, that's a lot of his army gone. And you know, he does still have about 66 army supply, but it's not with this force right now, so he's just going to have to do a fighting retreat.
Well, fighting retreat or fighting aggression. As he's going to go on into the third base of Stats, do what he can to force Stats back, but that was a terrible fight. He just sat his Marine Marauder he just sat it on top of these disruptor shots on the hope that maybe Stats doesn't believe him and micros off it. I don't know, but now Stats, he has found his way into the natural of ByuN once again. This time the natural command center will die. It'll die. It'll die. No, it won't die. Okay, never mind. Stats will be able to, ByuN will be able to say that for the time being.
Yeah, I mean, this is pretty much a fight for survival, but 32 workers going down. ByuN knows it's the end of the line in this game, and he's unfortunately gone down 3-0 in this series.
Yeah, I gotta say, I'm surprised Stats didn't just target that down, but I think he knew he had the game won anyways. At the end of that, it was 166 supplied 80. Stats camping the production, saying, look, I don't care what you got on the map. I'm gonna make sure that nothing goes through goes past that. You don't get anything more out of your main base.
Yes, and you know what? You guys are going to get a little bit more. We're going to take a very small commercial break. Just make sure that you guys can check out our sponsors on our Match Reno page. The link is right above there in the chat. I never know which way to point. But stick around. We've got some more Stats versus ByuN coming right up after this message. So stick around, guys.
We have a new sponsor we'd like to take a moment to thank. Strive Beef Biltong. Strive Beef Biltong contains no added sugars, nitrates, or artificial preservatives. It's like jerky without the junk. Their beef snacks are all natural, high protein, and keto friendly. They offer unique flavors like spicy peri-peri, zesty garlic, and hatch green chili to satisfy your taste buds. Not only are they sponsoring this tournament with quests, but they are offering a limited discount code for a short period of time. Use the code GAMER15 at the checkout for 15% off your order. Also, check out our Match Reno event page for more information or go to strive.com to learn more about their products. Offered in slabs, slices, and sticks for all your snacking needs. Thank you, Strive, for supporting our esports tournament and for your award-winning biltong recipes.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. I told you we would not leave you hanging for too long. We're already getting ready for game number 4 here. A submarine. What do you think about this choice from ByuN?
Well, ByuN, he's an aggressive player. And what a better map to make use of that than the shortest map in the pool.
Yeah, you can't really say too much more about it, and we're going to get these introductions out of the way quickly because there are some rogue units out on the field spawning. Up here in the top position, currently up 3-0, he is Stats.
And in the bottom right with an SCV across the map already, maybe we should introduce him there. In the red, it's ByuN. And this is the ballsiest proxy barracks I have ever seen. It's in the natural of Stats. And Stats is aware of this, but he's going to catch the probe.
So first blood already comes down in this game, and now Stats is going to actually, like, he knows that this is here now. He just has to scout out. He just needs to find this. And the thing is, it looks like he's not even seeing it just yet. Is. Oh, there we go.
Yeah, I don't think this completes, in all honesty. I mean, well, you know, if there's good SCV RNG, and it looks like, well, it's not great yet.
He needs to pray to flash right now, but oh no, just too late.
You know what? I hate to say it, but I would not blame ByuN if he tapped out of this game right now. I mean, this is so catastrophic here. He wants to go for early pressure. He puts a barracks down that he's not able to complete. He doesn't have any sort of natural base on the way, but he's mining out of 2 gas.
He's trying to finish that.
He is trying to finish that, but man, I don't know. I feel like at this point it's not even worth finishing. I mean, there will be stalkers out by the time any sort of reapers start coming out here. But I guess he finishes it for the tech. I mean, I don't even know what ByuN goes here. And sure, look, I think he will be able to trade his SCV for a finished barracks. I think actually, as he does get some good RNG now. And there we do. We have a Reaper on the way, but oh man, this is so much. This is so much later. There's already a depth just about done.
Yeah, I think ByuN is kind of just committed to this. He feels like he can still kind of eke something out, but nah, with that adept finished up, that's got the 3 shots of death for these Reapers. And you're not really going to be able to jump around here, especially not with the backup Stalker like you were saying. And behind this, we already have the Twilight Council down. So all the tech is in Stats' favor. Everything is coming up Protoss right now.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, the one thing, of course, is this will be 2 Reapers instead of 1. Although it doesn't look like ByuN's going to commit to that too much, actually. And yeah, I mean, we have this the 1 barracks. Well, okay, how useful was this? Look, it's going to run into main base. Sure, it's going to be able to scout things. I mean, it's a guaranteed scout. It's got 500, or it's got, what, 1,000 HP? I mean, it doesn't die. It doesn't die quickly, but, you know, this is a barracks that's down. The fact that the barracks was delayed so long means that the factory is delayed, and I got to imagine that ByuN does want to get some Hellion, or wanted to get some Hellions out here to do things like that. Now, these Reapers will find their way on into the main base, and the Stalkers, as they are otherwise occupied, these Reapers do have the potential to get something done, and ByuN does have some of the best micro in the business. The question is how much. Will it be worth it? Will it be worth all the damage that he has taken here? As well, the Adept's going to find things, and 3 workers for, well, actually it looks like the second Reaper will get out.
Not bad.
I mean, 3 workers is something.
Yeah, a little bit of scouting information. He saw the robo facility is started behind this, so he did get that information and a little bit of damage, but you know, like, we can't even look at it as just 2 Reapers as the cost, because so much time was lost trying to get that second racks done. We do have as well that patented 4 Stalkers moving across the map, and there's just nothing really at home for ByuN right now. The siege tank only just now starting. 4 or 5 Marines. How is he going to deal with this?
Yeah, I don't know, but if, you know, ByuN, he says, you know, I don't think I'm going to be able to play into the late game here. I don't think that's an opportunity. What I can do is I can hit you with a 3-1-1 and just try to bowl over the hope that you've been a little bit too greedy. And the Trooper will get in once again and cause some havoc, maybe get another probe or 2. Actually, as the gas saves the probe there for the time being. But I think Stats' go period is, well, he just got to wait. He's just got to wait for Blink. And once that is done, I mean, sure, there's 1 tank out. Sure, there's a bunker, but you get depth shade to get vision, and then you just kind of blink on top. Or just blink by and say, hey, you're not mining from this mineral line. Sorry, ByuN. Sorry, dude. That's not exactly something that I'm going to allow you to do in this game.
Yeah, and I think this is kind of the thing. Stats has been playing, you know, Stats has been playing ByuN's game. Just being very aggressive with these early units, buying himself that time to get up to that Colossus tech, to those disruptors. So he's really just kind of throwing ByuN off here with that play style. And, you know, ByuN just had such a little bit of trouble here connecting with anything damaging. It's incredible to see Stats kind of adapting to the player here.
Well, you know, it's funny. You talk about playing ByuN style or playing towards ByuN. I would argue, actually, that this is Stats being incredibly defensively. We don't see him really committing to these pressures. It's 4 Stalkers. It's 5 Stalkers. It's doing what he can to delay. And, you know, by way of comparison, some of the greatest defensive boxers of all time, they don't do it just by kind of sitting and turtling up in a corner and surviving or blocking shots. No, one of the big things they'll do, they'll go and they'll throw jabs. They'll do what they can to keep their opponent at a distance, right, and tire them out and be defensive in that way. And that's kind of what Stats is doing here. He's not saying, I'm going to turtle up on 2 or 3 bases. I'm going to make it so you can't attack into me. What he's saying is, I'm going to give the presumption of strength. I'm going to give you the illusion that I have a lot here and then you have to be scared and you can't move out. But meanwhile, there's not a whole lot. And he is expanding, he's developing his economy, developing his tech. And if ByuN can't move out, if ByuN does not feel safe to put his army out on the map and try to get some sort of damage done on an aggressive build, that is the defensive play in that instance.
A couple more gateways being added on, going up to a very healthy number here. He's got the second Colossus almost out as well, so it looks like he's going to be pushing a little bit forward here, just kind of keeping his presence out on the map. I mean, other than that, ByuN is pretty much in that kind of defensive position that he really does not want to be in. He's got those siege tanks set up for the attack, and he's just not really able to move out for this. It looks like Stats has made it to the third base location, but is just going to be rotating around here. Maybe wants to move in. It's yet to be seen, but he does have that War Prism for either the backstab or the reinforcements as necessary. So really a lot of cards in his playhouse right now.
Well, now is ByuN's turn. He says, you know, this is the timing. I want to get something done here. I need to be able to get something done. I only have 2 bases. And so he will unsiege. He will move forward, but Stats sitting right there says, nope, you gotta attack into me multiple times. I know you can't kill me until you pin me against a wall. So I'm going to do what I can to make sure that does not happen. Now, as you mentioned, we do have a Warp Prism on the way on into the main base. Charge is done, and there's only 1 missile turret there. There's absolutely a route that Stats can take to backstab our Red Terran Hope pretty much as soon as he gets onto the map.
Indeed, indeed. Even just kind of forcing these siege ups, slowing ByuN down very slowly, very methodically. Not even going to try and go for those pickoffs because he knows he doesn't need to. He just needs to buy time for those disruptors to come on out. We do see the War Prism getting in and dropping off its load, but that does get taken down. That is a nice start to the fence here. As a lot of these units are actually being saved by those metavacs, so not that much going for Stats. A good start to kind of defend that, and now it looks like ByuN's going to be moving out a little bit more and going to try and bypass the army a little bit.
And this is rather cool. So we do see a decent amount of charge loss here that Stats had pre-cached. He's like, look, I'm able to lose the War Prism.
Oh my god.
Oh, nice hot pickups there. As the shots were just about to connect. That was well done from ByuN.
And that just shows like the skill that he still has after all of these years. And that's what's going to keep him in this game if he's going to continue on forward. Disruptor Shot does get one of those tanks finally, but he still has those 3 tanks in the back. And that's what's keeping him in this game, in this push.
Yeah, but I mean, it's only a push if you could make a push. And Stats is just doing such an incredible job of forcing ByuN to siege, unsiege, and find a new route across the map. And every time Stats shows himself, or ByuN shows himself in a certain position, that is not a fight Stats wants to take, though. Stats does a good job backing up there. Stats does such a great job of hitting with a couple Colossi swipes, doing what he can, shaving off some units. And Stats now, he's sitting on a 30 supply lead, on a 40 army supply lead here.
Oh, yeah, and the reinforcements.
That is a massive run by.
Yeah, that's just the thing. Stats is so far ahead in terms of that supply. He can sacrifice quite a few zealots just to clean that up. ByuN, he's not even going to try and keep things going. He taps out, and we have Stats going up to a very fast match point here, 4-0. ByuN on his last leg. What do you think? Can he come back?
You know, I think going into this, I had Stats winning 5-1. I thought ByuN had it in him to win a game. I didn't think he was going to do more than that, considering what we saw in the GSL, considering ByuN's recent wrist issues, and considering how good Stats has looked recently. I mean, Stats was the GSL finalist last season. He is on an absolute tear. And ByuN, I love the player. I love the guy. He's such a cool player, so stylistic. But I just don't think he's necessarily on Stats' level, at least in this matchup right now. Now, I hope to see that change. I hope to see ByuN really get back to his world-beating 4 Horsemen form, but I just don't think he's there yet. And I think we're kind of seeing that in this series as ByuN, he's trying to fit a square peg into a round hole, going for these incredibly aggressive options, these 2 base builds, and that is not what you want to do when you're trying to kill a player like Stats. You got to play his game. Killing Stats is, I mean, good luck.
I certainly agree with you there. And I mean, he's gonna have this one chance. He's got Oxide to do it on. It's one of those smaller maps. The only thing that kind of keeping it long ways is those rocks, which can get really destroyed pretty quickly here if ByuN, because I know ByuN likes to really open up those attack paths before he pushes. But I mean, do you think we might see a little bit of more committed cheddar from a Red Terran friend?
Well, we've seen a couple attempts, and they've all been just kind of slapped down through excellent scouting. So, I don't know. ByuN's life is on the line here. I don't know if he wants to gamble it like that.
You know, sometimes gambling is the most fun you can have in life, but you know what? This guy, he hasn't been gambling on anything but winning, spawning in the top position of Oxide. he is Afrika Freaks stats.
And in the bottom left, in the red, his life on the line in this best of 9 show match. In the red, it's ByuN. And it's always a fun time when you're sitting there and you're like, ah, yes, this is the 5th game in a series. I gotta alternate my introductions just a little so it doesn't get a little weird, doesn't get a little dull and dry. And then you just start repeating yourself. In the red, he's the player in the red.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez, man. Why'd I say that?
It's all right. There has been a lot of sameness in these games. You know, Stats is kind of in the if it ain't broke, don't fix it kind of category right now. Going for that Twilight Council and just building off of that. ByuN, I like how he's changing it up, going back to kind of one of his signature moves here, going for that Inji Bay block to slow Stats down. The big thing that I've seen, especially recently in his recent King of Battles tournaments, is that he usually follows this up with an aggressive attack. He's done that versus Zest, versus Firefly, versus a bunch of great Protoss players, but I just don't think the same thing's going to work here against Stats, so he might just try and mix it up a little bit.
I mean, you say that, we are going to get an aggressive option here, as ByuN is going for a 1-1-1 off of 1 gas. Well, actually, looks like he is going to go down, take a delay. Nope, no, he's not. Never mind. That SCV is not for a natural. That is going to be a proxied starport.
Okay, so maybe going back
unless
to
something
Hellions.
crazy happens. Sorry?
Yeah, maybe going back towards that Hellion style. We did see him get some great damage done. Like that's pretty much been his best early game strat right now, to get that damage done. And yeah, I think it's the best way to maybe claw his way back in the series.
Yeah, and I cannot believe how successful Stats has been in coming back. I mean, when you see the Protoss go down 10 workers compared to a Terran before 5 minutes, you're like, okay, the Protoss is probably dead, right? Just the way the economy works, that's just not a situation the Protoss ever wants to be in. But Stats has done that twice, and he's won both games. It's like it doesn't even matter that he's down in economy incredibly significantly. He'll find his opening, and he'll get something done on top of it.
Indeed, indeed. The Hellions are on the way. I think that Adept did get a glance of that, so now Stats might be able to have his units in position to defend against it. He is going for a Phoenix play as well, and I've actually seen him utilize this on this map a lot to kind of shut down that drop style of Terran. I don't want to say this is dead in the water because 1 Phoenix is never going to be enough to kill off a medevac fast enough, but still, just a little bit of a hard counter.
Especially 1 Phoenix that does not see this coming. This 1 Phoenix that, okay, only just now. It's going to see the starport's like, okay, oh crap, I got to get on in. I got to run. I got to lift some stuff. But man, these are some good Hellion shots already. Now the Adepts are going to be here, and Adepts do kill. Oh, he's going to trap him with the probes. Sure, 10 workers are going down, but everything's going to go down as well. And ByuN, has he done enough? He will be able to lift one of these Hellions. So it's going to be 1 Hellion that survives into the natural. But 12 workers have gone down. And that 12 workers, that's about, well, that is absolutely worth it there for ByuN, as he finds himself plus three workers in this game. And it's not like the previous game. Stats does not have the aggressive option that he did with the Dark Templar in game number 3. Right? He doesn't have that easy move to go in and get some damage done and equalize things.
And yeah, but you know what? It looks like he's actually going to try here. He's got that 3 Phoenix, 3 Adept pressure. The bunker not done, and it's not going to finish up. The Adept's actually getting into the main base as well. ByuN having a little trouble closing that wall off, so the SCV count is going to start dwindling here a little bit. While the Phoenix going to be coming in here, going to try and kill off that starport, but that is not going to go down. I mean, all things considered, you know, the addition of the Cyclones is going to help out tremendously, but yeah, I mean,
well,
didn't do too much.
Only to a certain point. Actually, interestingly enough, we do see Stats stopping at 4 Phoenixes for the time being. He may go up to 5, but 5, of course, when you're talking about Phoenix Colossus, 5 is that magic number. For whatever reason, it's kind of what the pros have decided. Yeah, this is what's worth it, because of course it's 3 Phoenix. I believe it's 2 or 3 Phoenix shots that kills a probe. So it's not like, or that kills an SCV. So it's not like yes, this is the number I need to be able to lift and one-shot an SCV. That's not quite it, but that's kind of the magic number that eats enough supply that makes Terran players, or makes Protoss players happy. And stats, he's stuck at 4. I don't know what the reasoning behind this is. Maybe he just wants to get the Colossus out faster. Maybe he wants to be able to make sure he gets to third base. But it is interesting, because that is kind of a deviation from the norm.
Yeah, I think that's kind of the big thing here is he likes to stay on this lower number to get the Colossus out a little bit quicker. It's still enough, as you saw right there, to kind of pick off the SCVs fast enough for those non-stim, I might add, Marines to chase them down. But you know, ByuN, he's still trucking along here. He's got 2 bases up and running. Stim is about halfway complete. He will have +1 and combat shields as well relatively quickly here. And while stats is going up to the third base, I don't see anyone having a lead here other than ByuN in that army supply right now.
Yeah, that is a rather scary army for ByuN that's going to look to move across the map sooner rather than later. Actually, we do see him moving across now, but this is not the committed attack. Yeah, we do not have the bunker salvaged. And that's kind of the good marker. You say, oh, yes, the Terran player is moving across the map. So this is just an attempt to try to find the Adept, or try to find the Phoenixes that are sitting there on the map. And once again, ByuN, he wants to end this game on 2 bases. He has shown no desire to take a third base pretty much in any game in this series.
Yeah, and that's the scary thing here because we do have 2 Colossus out already, a third on the way here soon. And that's kind of the magic number when you're dealing with Marines. 3 Colossus will one-shot those Marines. You'll have to get a lot of splits in, so that's a lot more multitasking that you have to deal with. The Marauder count really, really low. But, you know, I think at this point, if he's going to stay on 2 bases, he might have to pull the boys.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, man, it's a struggle here talking about deviations from the norm and everything. Good job for these Phoenix. They're going to be able to get a couple more workers and force ByuN back once again. There is a drop coming in onto the main base here, and that, well, the Phoenixes, ByuN knows the Phoenixes are in his base. And if they're in his base, they're not defending stats space, so there's maybe he can get something done there.
He recalled.
But, of course, with the recall, man, stats with the 500 IQ play there. He says, you know what, I know what's up here. But that's actually not enough defense.
Oh, okay, so this would be really good. If he gets that robo facility, that would make this drop absolutely worth it. But he's just going to focus down the defense here, force the units back. One of the Colossus is here at the third base with the rest of the army, but the probes starting to fall as ByuN just chases them down.
And now I do see the lift on the Marauder. That's pretty nice. But now we have the army of ByuN stimming on into the third base. Duke Wadakane will be able to get on top of this Colossus, theoretically, as now ByuN just taking the time to kill off the fodder as 17 workers go down here. And it feels like ByuN has maybe found his opportunity. Finally, ByuN takes a game!
There we go. That is the ByuN we know and love from 2016. That is the player we have been talking about this entire stream. And we were actually talking to the lead here, Sushi, about it being a 5-1 at the very least, and he was actually saying that it's not going to be a 5-1, but now there's a good chance that it could be more than that.
Yeah, I know, it's funny. I think I was talking to you before this series. I'm like, yeah, okay, this is what I think Stats is going to do. And he's shown a penchant for Stargate openers against Terran players. And we did finally see that in game number 5. And that's the one game Stats has lost thus far. So, I wonder if we're going to go back to the norm here, where Stats goes that Twilight opener, gets blink, puts some aggression, makes it hard for ByuN to move out, because that's where he's really seemed to be the most successful against this playstyle of ByuN.
Well, we are going to have to see, because we're going to romantic.
Now, this is a weird map, because when you look at the map info, right, when you load into it, you find it, oh, man, that's a purple and white map. But then you load into it, and it's a blue and gold map. I don't get that one.
I don't get it either, but you know what? It's a macro map. Rush distance, kind of short, but there's a lot to unpack about this map.
Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
And yeah, there's a pretty great siege position outside of the third base, should the Protoss not be able to remove the minerals in time. So it's an excellent siege tank position there that you can go and just kind of drop Marines on the other side. So it's going to be interesting to see if Stats is able to deal with that in time. But hey, our players, they're loaded in to this game. ByuN has a game to his name. It's going to be a good one.
You know, oh yeah, that's going to be awesome. And like you were saying, that third base positioning really going to set the pace here if ByuN moves out. But you know what? Spawning up here in the top position. He's still on match point, but might be a little bit fuddled at that last game. He is Stats.
And his opponent in the bottom right, in the red, down but not quite out. It's our Terran player. It's ByuN.
And you know what? I think he's going to go back to what he does best. He's pulling a Maru right now. Just a little bit allergic to buildings in his own main base. Getting that very hidden racks here for... I'm going to try and utilize a little bit of this map to get that Reaper out nice and quick. Now,
yeah,
Stats.
Absolutely.
Go ahead.
Obviously, yeah, it's not quite a Macarax. It's not quite that I'm just going to build my first barracks behind my natural mineral line. But it's not the craziest of proxy barracks either. And it's interesting, you know, you talk about how ByuN seems to be allergic about building his structures in his main base. Well, one can make the argument that if you're building your structures on the map's just your main base. And if you own the map, well, you win the game, right?
I think that's how the rules work in this game. Don't quote me on that, Twitch chat. But we're not on Twitch, are we?
Yeah, because luckily we're on Afrika.
Okay. Which for the enough sponsor specs. Oh my, ByuN, you absolute madman.
I am, and interestingly enough, Stats he scouted everywhere, but he has not scouted this high ground, not yet.
Yeah.
But
it's over.
I am really interested to see what ByuN is going for here because this is a weird one. And we do see ByuN, of course, he is going to wall this off to say no more scouting for you. But I believe Stats has seen the fact that this is double gas, so he knows it's 1-1-1 in some way, shape, or form. And now with the Marine coming in from somewhere on the map, that tells Stats a lot, actually. As he's like, okay, so it's not Proxy Reaper. I do know that. That does tell me something. It's like, oh, okay, I see the SCV coming back, too. Well, did he see that? Yeah, I believe he saw that SCV coming back.
Yeah, he probably saw that, and now Hellions.
That barracks built one Marine and is now flying back to the main base of ByuN.
You know, the funniest thing is he walls off the main base, but that's like the least useful scouting information that you could get as Stats right now. But I'm liking this already, forcing an early recall with these Hellions. Looks like Stats will be able to defend that wall. Oh my God, this is going to be a Hellbat drop.
Are you? No, it's not. It's not. This is the cure build. This is what I was talking about.
Dang it.
This is. It is. Okay, let me tell you how this is going to work because I've seen this once and it was the coolest thing ever. So, it's Widowmine drops with Hellions running on into the front. When that stalls out, because that will stall out, it's only on one base and you can only make so much production. After that point, you'll see ByuN, if he does anything like what Cure does, it does turn into Hellbat drops. Because the Hellions are in, the Hellions are out, and you have these... The Widowmines are probably dead. But, well... The Medivacs aren't, for the most part. They can boost out. So you're going to start seeing Hellbat drops all over the place. And this is actually a great strat for ByuN to choose here in this game. Because A-Stats has no idea. He has 0 detection. In the Zest game, Zest opened Stargate. He had detection. He could deal with it. There is no Observer on the map, and there is no Robo on the map. Behind this, we have Banshee. We have Cloak. And this is actually so cool here from ByuN.
Good split already going down. Going to keep the damage low, but now ByuN is just going to pick up and go wherever the heck he can. And like you're saying, absolutely no detection. That is a forced Robo facility. And now he actually brings the Widowmines to the front of the base so that the Hellions can get in. And it's now roasty, toasty probe time.
Oh, no.
And stack up.
Oh, Stats is just not responding here. He doesn't know what to do. 11 workers go down. The Widowmine goes off. And yeah, so we have two Hellions left. But now with Hellions if they're smart, what they're going to do here, they're going to try to lure these probes to go get pulled into these Widowmines. Actually, Widowmines are just going to kill more and more. And I think Stats is just dead here. Now, Stats does have a counterattack. That's why he's not responding. Take a look at ByuN's base. What is there? We have a Stalker's movement. They have forced the SCV pull. and the natural will get canceled.
Yeah, but the Banshee is done. Cloak is about to finish up as well. The Observer is not in position just yet because he's going to have to keep that at home to deal with a couple of Widow Mines that are absolutely... Oh my god, there's just so much going on in this game. I'm starting to think we accidentally joined the NA server here for a bit.
Oh yeah, this is such a cool game here. And as the game stabilizes, man, ByuN is in such an incredible position here. Sure, he's only... he's up, what, 5 workers. He's only up a little army supply. Man, for a second there, I was looking at the total supply, and it was like ByuN was doubling it. But now we're in a position where maybe stats can stabilize. Maybe there's something he can do. It looks like he does have a proxy pylon on the bottom left-hand side. So that's what he's going to go stage to go on some sort of aggressive move of his own. Now, we do have to remember, ByuN is on at 1 base. Oh, there we have it.
Yeah. The second that Banshee jumped in there, the Stalkers were all on the other side of the map. Stats just says, you know what? I'm not going to try there. I'm just going to move on to game number 6. My goodness. This series has really evolved from that first couple of games.
Yeah, we had those first 4 games, and they were pretty much the same thing over and over again. And you know what? I could not be more excited to be incorrect. I had this series pegged as a 5-1. Like, okay, that's what I think is going to happen here. ByuN, he's taken 2 games. He has the momentum now, and he has found a way to make these games get weird, to force the games into positions where maybe he's more comfortable than Stats is.
Yeah.
Force that resource out of Stats.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. He's starting to hit his stride here in the longer bit of the series. And, yeah, it's just looking really good for him now. He's starting to get that momentum. And you know what? These guys, I got to give credit to these guys. We are 6 games in, and they are still hopping straight into the lobbies, going straight into the next game. They really want to keep this thing going. You got to give props to them that, because sometimes during longer tournaments you can kind of have players drop off that enthusiasm, but these two ready to keep it going.
Oh, absolutely. And it's nice actually. That's one of the really nice things about casting Koreans is they tend to be really good at just popping into those lobbies ASAP. You don't necessarily see that as much on the other servers, for whatever reason. I don't know. It's just culturally they want to take a little bit more time between games, de-stress, center themselves, and move on. But no, yeah. We're into game number 7, Jagannatha.
Yep, it is
the map that has been.
Yeah, I'd like to remind you guys, if ByuN does win this game, the map pool resets, and it is a free-for-all in the map pool. But he's got to get past this guy down here in the bottom left position, spawning for Africa Freaks. Stats.
Oh, wait, there we go. And his opponent in the upper right. He is on a comeback. He's on a tear in the red. It's ByuN. I was sitting there, and I'm like, why is my camera not moving? Why am I not following the observer? Is he just gonna sit on Stats' Nexus for a while? No, it's because I didn't have you selected. It's because I didn't have you selected. Pro level casting here.
Oh yeah, we are definitely professionals. Hence the fancy coats.
Oh, of course. Yeah, the heat in my apartment has turned on, and I'm sitting here all of a sudden melting when I was pretty comfortable. Because there's a heat grate that's pretty much right behind my desk. And when it's cold, right, that's great. It's wonderful. It warms my feet. It's a wonderful thing. But when I'm sitting here in a sport coat or in a suit coat, getting excited about StarCraft, well, it gets a little roasty, gets a little toasty. It's just about as roasty and toasty as those probes of Stats in that last game.
Oh, yeah, but I don't think, they were not on a vacation to their retirement home in Florida right there. They were on a one-way train to, I think they're just robots, so I think they just go to the Spirit of the Machine, or that might be the wrong fantasy series there.
I think you're talking about the Incinerator.
Yes, the Incinerator.
Yeah, no, I think Machine Spirit is. I think you're more thinking like Warhammer 40K.
Yeah, they all are. I mean, okay, I'm not even gonna start to tick off chat with that one, but You know, Stats, once again, this is a bit of a larger map, so he is going to be going for that Stargate play, and I think we are going to be seeing him continue on with that Phoenix style that we saw in the 2 games previously, just because it's so good for getting that harassment damage done, and it really just stunts any kind of committed attacks that a Terran can do, because you can pick up siege tanks, because you can pick up Widow Mines, and just kind of mitigate the damage done.
Now, you do talk about committed attacks. We do see Hellions on the way here, but this is not Hellion drops, at least not for right now. We have no SCV on the map to proxy a starport, and there's no starport even on the way. So it's going to be like a 2-on-1 coming in here from ByuN. As he wants to be, again, he shows his desire to be aggressive.
Yeah, he's been hitting his stride these last couple of games, so his aggression has just started to hit, really. So, you know, he's just going to try and get some damage done here. Luckily for him, Stats actually does not have a wall off right now, so these Hellions will get a little bit of probe damage. We'll have to see if he does hit your magic number of 8. Phoenix are already out, and they're going to head straight for the main base of ByuN, just making sure that they can get some scouting information done. And actually getting an Adept really quickly. That's pretty nice.
Yeah, you got to remember, when you talk about the magic number of 8, that's only if it's a Hellion drop, if it's proxy, if it's incredibly committed. Here, with just a couple, 4 Hellions, I mean, that's not nearly as bad, as the lineup is there, and 7 workers are going to go down. Oh, no, one more shot. Oh, Stats doing a great job of splitting at the last second. And, I mean, sure, 7 workers go down. That's just about worth it. Actually, a couple more potentially go down here, too. Good job with the Phoenix and the shield battery, though.
Yeah.
Should be able to keep everything alive.
Yeah, I mean, he did force that shield overcharge in the front, so if he follows this up with any kind of aggression, it's going to be nice. But we have seen that Stats likes to go with that 3 Adept, 4 Phoenix pressure to kind of keep his opponent back. But now that it's a little bit weakened here with those Adepts with that Adept going down, the bunker, I think, might actually be able to finish here as long as he keeps those Marines in position. ByuN, please move your Marines. Thank you. The players can't hear us, by the way, so that is not stream cheating, legally.
You know, I think it is actually. Yeah, Sushi, can you arrest Passer? Or so someone in chat arrest Passer for stream cheating here, for telling ByuN exactly what he has to do. But let's be real here. ByuN, he's a far better player than either of us. If anything, he should be telling us what to do. Yeah,
and he probably will tell us what to do after the stream. He'll just be like, "You're cast. You got everything wrong." But well,
as long as it was entertainingly incorrect, it's fine.
Yeah. But you know, ByuN's getting that standard Cyclone response to this. He's not really pushing out just yet, but he does have a nice army so far. Stim also very quick once again, just to make sure that he can move his units around effectively. And I mean, his +1's almost done as well. He's getting that extra racks on to base. I think he's gearing up once again for a little bit of pressure.
So what I'm watching here, more than anything, is what ByuN is going to build after this extra barracks goes down, because there are a couple options, right? He can either drop those 2 additional barracks, go into like a 5-1-1, and look to be incredibly aggressive off the 2 bases. The other option, of course, is to go and the Phoenix, they're gonna find it. Oh, nice reaction there from ByuN, but that could have been disastrous. Anyway, of course, the second option is to go and drop your command center and go into 3 base behind this and just go an aggressive expand, which is more of the meta, but we definitely do see 5-1-1, 5 racks timings come from the Terran players. Well, I'm not gonna say more often than not, but it is a rather common strategy at the moment.
You know, one thing to note, which is pretty funny, is I think ByuN actually, with this two medevac, I think this is kind of one of his signature things that he helped kind of bring to the mainstream, is the follow-up after you do your pressure, go in for some more pressure with that 2 medevac full of Stim Marines. So it does look like Stats is actually going to see this as well. He sees the reinforcements moving across to come and abet this. And he will be in position with those 2 Colossus, but the question is ByuN going to separate his forces once again and go for the drop play? Looks like Stats is actually in position once again to deal with that. Oh, no, actually.
Oh, that was really smart. So he does lose one Phoenix, and that's unfortunate, or one Phoenix, but that's unfortunate. Actually, he's gonna be able to get on top of this tank. No, the tank will not. The tank will survive and now get a really nice shot off. But anyway, you notice that he goes and he lifts the Cyclones as they're locked on, the Phoenix.
Yeah.
Which of course which breaks the lock on. That was great thinking there. I mean, generally you see the break the lock on if it's on something else maybe, but you don't generally see that when they're when they're locked onto the Phoenix that's doing the lifting. So that's pretty cool.
Oh, this is a huge army for ByuN right now, currently up over 30 army supply with this. Those siege tanks make in a really decent position as well to siege up, and the Phoenix gonna lift one of them. The shield overcharge is up, but those Zealots are not fighting in range of that right now, so there is a lot of damage done to this Protoss army, and it looks like ByuN is actually gonna try and stim in here to try and close things out.
Well, you see that there's still shield battery. There are still Warpin's charges not done yet, but it's down there very soon. He's not lost a Colossus. He's not lost his tech. He's just lost the fodder. And as long as he has that tech, well, he's going to be in a great position to hold this game. Remember, he's had three bases for quite a while. Oh, that
he just lost the Colossus.
Is that what happened?
He just picked up the Colossus and immediately it went down.
Oh no. Well, it looks like despite that great lifts here on top of these tanks, which means the charge lots are going to be able to get on top of all of that. And I think despite that Colossus going down, which is of course a incredible mistake from Stats there, well, Stats is going to hold.
Yeah, look at the I got to pull a thought here. Look at the supply. Currently, ByuN is up over 10 army supply here. And while he does get pushed back, he did get a lot of those expensive army units picked off there. So it's kind of a reset for both players.
Well, you know what? Supply really within 10, not all that bad when you're a defensive Protoss dealing with that Terran continuous push.
When I started, it was 30.
Yeah, I know. I was looking at that, I'm like, man, wait for the warp in. But yeah, it's really not that bad of a position for Stats here right now. He's solidly on 3 bases. He's getting the upgrades he wants. He's getting his Warp Prism back up once again, I assume. And he does have Warp Prism speed. I would maybe like to see him add a second Colossus, but right now he's full on that Disruptor train.
Oh, no.
Oh, well, he was on the Disruptor train, but it's going to get targeted down. It's a little bit of misdirect there. And Stats is really leaning on into ByuN here, doing a great job of making it so Stats is uncomfortable.
Yeah, but at the same time, he's losing a lot of that fodder in the front for that Colossus, and that's actually just going to prompt ByuN to go straight for the main base where the army has to come back in. They will be able to clean this up and kind of force this drop back, but yeah, just ByuN starting to really show that multitasking and that decision-making, which makes him a god. We do see a small run-by going down in the third base, but that is going to get cleaned up. And I mean, overall, ByuN is just starting to run circles a little bit around Stats, although Stats is still in a very good position here with his unit count, with his army composition. He's not dead, but ByuN is starting to kind of find cracks in the defense.
Oh, absolutely. And you know,
oh no.
Oh, that's a drop on top. Well, actually, yeah, they're not enough soccer there. I was going to say the one thing I would like to see, it would be another Warp Prism from Stats. He got the upgrade. Right? He got what he needed for that. But he actually hasn't, well, he hasn't actually got a Warp Prism yet. And that's a great choke there from ByuN. My God, that's a great choke. It's actually going to force a recall of one Colossus, and that is a vulnerable Colossus. Although it looks like ByuN's not paying attention.
Oh, well, I think he was trying to focus down the Cybernetic score there. If he would have got that, that would have been a huge. But unfortunately, his army also got picked off in the other side of the map, it looks like. Stats able to force that back, so good defense overall. But ByuN, it does not look like he's going to give Stats any breathing room right now, and that's kind of ByuN's thing. He doesn't like his opponent to breathe.
Yeah, not at all, and it's crazy here. For the first time in this series, we see ByuN expanding before Stats. The 4th base of ByuN is now done on location. It's going to go into a planetary sooner rather than later, and the 4th base of Stats has only just now started. So. Again, it's crazy. This is one of the few times we actually see Stats with an economic deficit in this series. But this is a great fight for Stats here. As ByuN, maybe he has overextended a little bit too much. Not enough tech there, not enough Vikings, nothing else. And this one Colossus, these disruptors are worth their weight in Vespene as well. I mean, there's no gold in StarCraft.
Yeah.
Well, I guess the gold minerals.
Yeah, there's probably gold somewhere around there, but I think those are called Jorium or something, so not true gold. But yeah, I mean, ByuN he overextends a little bit, and that's kind of one of his weaknesses, is that he does not really know when to stop the push sometimes. But it does look like he's just going to gather his forces up. Stats looks to go on the attack a little bit towards that right side, towards that planetary fortress. So we'll have to see how far he's actually going to commit to that, as ByuN is set up in the acceleration zone, and that's going to make it even more difficult to fight into.
You know, it's funny. 5 minutes ago, you were saying, hey, Bayo, look at the supply. Well, look at the supply now. Stats is absolutely equalized. He's equalized that army supply. I mean, just plus or minus depends on production cycles at this point. And the one thing he's actually lacking at this point, oddly enough, is he is down on workers compared to his opponent. Which again, you know, because of mules, I mean, you as a Protoss player, unless you're going all in or something like that, you really don't necessarily want to be low there. But now, of course, it looks like Stats has found a good opening here. These disruptor shots are just going to go speed like hell through these disruptor zones.
Yeah, but unfortunately, ByuN is even faster than the acceleration zones, it looks like. Saves a lot of those units. He can't really push into this again, I don't think, but he looks like he's actually going to try. We'll have to see how this goes here. If he can get a good angle and kind of pick off the army little by little here, because Stats is going to break off some of those stalkers to deal with this. And as I say that, there's actually more units than I saw. But yeah, I think ByuN's going to get cleaned up here. Once again, he's going to have to go on the retreat.
Yeah, charge lots are always surprisingly tanky. They do deal with bio surprisingly well when it's in these small numbers. When it is in these, yeah, I'm going to split across, I'm going to counterattack, whatever the case may be. And the Stalkers, the Charles, they're going to do what they can. But that is a ill-advised blink there as they find the rally of ByuN.
Yeah, I think that's the
sitting here.
I think that's the thing. He's been both sides kind of just shaving off enough units to stay alive, never going far enough to finish the game, but never keeping enough to win it either.
Yeah, well, if you look at this, ByuN, he's ahead on economy. He is traded better than his Protoss opponent, which is crazy. I mean, it feels like these fights have been good, but maybe not positive for ByuN. Just the pressure and the ability to expand. But again, Stats is trading less equally, and ByuN has the economic advantage, and we're absolutely seeing that in this supply count right now. As ByuN sitting here up 50 supply, he will force a recall of the Protoss army. Although we do have a run by moving on into the the third base, and actually that disruptor shot is going to be killed. Okay, almost a really nice disruptor shot.
Yeah, really nice start there to disruptor shot, but it's not enough. But yeah, ByuN is going to start his patented hit you in one place, hit you in another, just keep hitting you. Luckily for his Stats, he does have quite a few army units here where the second one is, but already 12 workers going down. With this attack on this side is going to get picked off. Maybe, actually, there might not be enough here.
Yeah, no, I don't think there is. He's fighting outside of the shield battery overcharge, but of course the fight on the left is going not in the favor of Stats, not either. It's just been Stats' army has been, it's been circumnavigated, it's been moved around, and Stats, well, he's gonna lose his fourth base, and he's gonna barely be able to shoo off the fight on the third base. But that is absolutely worth it for ByuN here, as ByuN is now doubling the army supply of his Protoss opponent.
And not to mention, he killed off the Nexus as well, and that means one less mining base for Stats right now. We do see him going into that Ghost as well. No static shock, no static EMP upgrade just yet. But, I mean, at this point, you don't really need it for a little bit. Just the addition of those EMPs is going to make things so much more difficult for Stats to deal with this. I don't know how he's going to hold this next one. He's going to need miracle disruptor shots.
Yeah, it's not even gonna be like he has DT blink or something to get on the back lines. Actually, one Ghost is gonna, well, no, one Ghost. I was gonna say one Ghost is gonna go down. The disruptor shot, I mean, it's nice. It's two Marauders, and as long as that disruptor doesn't die, it's gonna be fine. But ByuN has the full surround here. It doesn't really feel like it matters how much dies here, as ByuN is hitting these incredible splits as he's shoved his way on into this fifth base of Stats, doing what he can. That base will go down. There we go. Will go down. And Stats, what does he have behind this?
He doesn't have a lot, Bayo. He's currently down over 40, close to 40 supply. The disruptors, almost all of them are on cooldown here. He's got a few EMPs left, I think, with this army as well. Actually cancels the shot before they finish, but the Colossus Gonna tank for the Disruptor here, but ByuN is not done just yet. He did lose a little bit of his army there, but the reinforcements coming in is going to be more than enough to keep this position and keep the push going.
Absolutely, and behind this, even if this push does not work out from ByuN, and it looks like it might, ByuN, he has his 5th base. He has his 6th base on the way. He's in an incredible economic position, and top of a tech position, on top of an army position. But okay, that Disruptor shot's going to be nice. And we do have the Parade of the Dark Templar now coming in. It looks like this army from ByuN will get cleared up. Of course, he does have an army on the right-hand side. That is a base sniping army on the right-hand side, if I've ever seen one. And I think Stats is about to lose his 3rd base here. There is nothing here. There's what, 1 Warpin? Was that 1 charge lot? That is not enough. And yes, ByuN doing a great job of finding his way around the army of Stats, and he's taken another game.
This series has essentially turned on its head. It's almost like ByuN just wanted to give himself a little bit of a handicap there for the first 4 games. But already we see the reverse sweep in action. He's still got a little bit of ways to go. But
ByuN, of course, the man of the people. He says, you know what, I got a lot of fans. Anki, we have the Spanish cast in here. Anki was talking about how many fans ByuN has in the Spanish-speaking world. And he's like, you know what? This is a best of 9. I think Stats is pretty good. I think I'm pretty good. I think we're going to make some great games. I want to make sure that we show as many games as possible. I want to give fans the full experience. I want to show them incredible games through the entirety of best of 9. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to lose the first 4 games. That's going to guarantee that when I win this series 5-4, well, we've shown 9 games. We've shown 9 incredible games once again.
Yep, and now we are actually going to go for a little bit of a 5-minute break here. ByuN has requested it, and I mean, after you win that many games, you're going to have to clear your head a little bit. Just incredible comeback from him so far. So we're going to go to a quick ad break, and then I'm going to walk you guys through a little bit of Matcherino, not just for this one, but for all of the future events. So stick around, guys. We will be right back.
My name is Rushy, and thanks for watching our StarCraft 2 content brought to you by Alpha X. Productions like this are made possible by support from our sponsors, like Carhartt. Carhartt never takes a day off from celebrating hard-working people, which is why at Carhartt, every day is Labor Day. Since 1889, they've been building gear that has your back 24/7 with tough and trusted workwear, just like this. Their men's mid-weight hoodies are sweat-wicking, stain-fighting, and cut to move. It's made of sweat-wicking fabric that's cut to give your arms a full range of motion. Its full zip layer also fights job site stains, so it can last through several seasons of hard work. They're also built with force technology to wick away sweat and dry fast. The fast dry technology wicks away sweat, while the stain breaker technology releases those stains. Be sure to check out our events page for their sponsor quest or visit them anytime at Carhartt.com. Thank you for supporting Alpha X, and thank you for considering checking out more of our great sponsors. Now, let's head back to the action.
All right, guys, welcome back. ByuN did not need the full 30 seconds that we thought he did, or 5 minutes that he thought he did. But we are going to be hopping into our next game right away. First of all, I got to thank you guys for tuning in. It has been an amazing night here. A morning for most of you as well, I hope. And just amazing games. We're so glad that we were able to share them with you.
Absolutely. You know, it's funny. I really wish I understood Korean, because our chat is pretty much full. I don't see any English, and I just see a lot of Korean, and they're having a boisterous discussion. I just wish I knew what they were saying.
Yeah, I'm gonna be going crazy with the Google Translate after this one. But you know what, guys? Without further ado, let's introduce the champions of the hour. Because down here in the top position, we have Afrika Freaks Stats.
Oh, wow, that's some fancy introduction work there. And in the bottom right, in the red, 1 game away from evening this out, 1 game away from the ace match of this best of 9, it's ByuN. Man, you're bringing out all the stops here for this penultimate. Well,
yeah, just wait till game number 9. Believe me,
this
I
potentially penultimate game. Yeah.
Yeah, I always bring out all the stops for you guys in the chat. But, I mean, ByuN, he's got to be feeling good about his chances. He's been continuously winning these games, and he's not only been doing it in the early game, in the mid game, he's been going to that late game, and he has been fighting Stats on Stats' terms and absolutely crushing him in that regard. So I think that's really just given him that kind of confidence boost to keep up the pressure, to keep up his game plan, and now he's really getting to play the way he wants to.
Yeah, absolutely. It is interesting. We were talking about early on this series about, like, man, ByuN, he's going for these aggressive options. And you're doing that against Stats. I mean, does that really make sense? And for 4 games, it didn't. 4 games, it really did not. Stats was slapping everything that ByuN went for aside. And, well, ByuN suddenly found the openings he was looking for. He found the ways to really take that to it. And that's kind of cool. What we see this evolution in these longer series, in these best of 7, and really in these best of 9 series. Because, I mean, look, this series would have been a 4-0. If it was a best of 7, this was GSL semifinals, and this was how the players were playing. Stats would have advanced 4-0 into the finals. But because this is a best of 9, ByuN has that one more game that he needed to find the opening. And I think what he correctly identified was, man, I should have won a couple of those earlier games. I did the damage, and I wasn't quite prepared enough. Stats were just good enough that I had lost it regardless.
Yeah, and you know what? You know, ByuN is starting to get his style back because he's going for another strategy that he kind of patented. 2-on-1's always been popular versus Zerg players, but ByuN has been one of those players who's not only made it work, but he's made it work against the hardest race to make it work against, Protoss. So he's going to be adding on this second barracks. He's going to get that tech lab down for the fast stim, I believe. There we go. He has not made a liar out of me yet. And really, this is just going to be hard to deal with if Stats can't identify it.
Now, what I do think is really interesting here is we've seen Stats the last couple games. He's gone for a Stargate opener every game. Pretty much after when it went up 4-0, he's like, yeah, Stargate's the way to play now. And he has not won a single Stargate game, which is really interesting because he won all the Twilight games, right? He won with the blank opening every time he went with it. But now he's like, you know what? I guess I'm getting afraid of these Hellion drops. I really don't want to deal with this. And blank openers don't really deal with that all that well. You don't have enough stalkers. You don't have blank by the time the Hellion drop comes in. So that's where the Stargate play is good. But despite that, ByuN's been getting great damage done. Despite that that bias towards doing something that deals with the Hellion drop pretty well. But now Stats will be able to get in with this Phoenix. We'll see the fact that this is a 2-on-1. And it's going to be interesting to see how he responds. It's actually, ByuN's doing a great job of boxing this Phoenix in, but it should be able to get out.
Yeah, he's just going to recall that. That's going to be one less tool for Stats to actually utilize here, but he's got to realize that he needs a shield battery. He needs to get that wall down, and he needs to start preparing his front and his main as well, because this can come from so many angles. And you know what? ByuN doesn't actually have that starport. He's just going straight up to 3 racks and the factory, so this is going to be so committed. I'm going to be crushed if this doesn't work. But, you know, Stats doesn't have a ton back at home. He's going to have to rely on force fields and the adepts in the front to tank.
Well, you say a ton. He does have 2 shield batteries on the way, so he will have that overcharge, I believe.
Yeah.
And, well, when you have that shield battery overcharge, and you got enough adepts, that is absolutely something that you can make the hold, but it is going to be a difficult one indeed, as now we do have ByuN. Stim is done in 2 seconds, and that is his timing. I think it's Wings of Liberty all over again. We have our Stim timing from ByuN here. Colossus is on the way, and that will shut this down, but now ByuN, he hits the timing ahead of time. He's doing what he can to try to bait out that shield battery overcharge. Do what he can to try to force Stats to overcommit. And Stats, for his part, is going to say, you know what, ByuN, I want you to stim. I want you to get your army as low as possible before I make my full commitment. And it looks like ByuN's just going to be forced back. He says, no, this is not going to work. This is... What, he didn't get any damage done whatsoever. He took, what, like, the shields off of a gateway?
Yeah, he got about a half damage on that gateway here. And now these guys are actually pretty trapped on this side of the map. They don't have any medevacs for the retreat. Now, ByuN is not dead by any stretch of the imagination here. He does have that +1 attack finished up as well, and he still has the production to kind of keep going in this game, so that's going to help him out a lot. The Phoenix also not really in position with this army, so they're not helping out with this. But, I mean, back at home, it looks like Stats is going to try to attack, and ByuN still has the army supply lead. He still has the barracks or the bunker out front. So Stats not going to be able to really box him in as effectively as he would like right now.
You know, this is rather interesting, and I do like this here from Stats, where he said, you know, I'm going Phoenix Colossus. Oh, wait. ByuN's hitting a stim timing with a 3 racks before factory. That is terrifying. I'm just going to stop at 2 Phoenix. Phoenix, they're good for map control. Maybe I can get someone into it later on. But I cannot afford to keep following my tech path. So instead, you know, he gets the shield batteries and he gets the adepts, he gets the Colossus out early, does what he can to make sure he survives that.
I think ByuN loves to hit around the 2 Colossus timing, because every time he's started to kind of divide his army up, there has been 2 Colossus to deal with things. But here we go, the next big drop here. 4 Stalkers are brought back to attack this, but there are plenty of Marauders to deal with them. They did get their mojo back a long time ago from this. Phoenix not going to be able to pick up the Medivacs just yet either, but he's actually going to get the Phoenix before he lifts up. That is an excellent retreat there. 4 workers going down, and may even get a shield battery if Stats wasn't healing it with the other shield battery.
Yeah, Stats making a pretty excellent defense thus far. As I say that, though, this is a lone Colossus trying to defend itself against the world, but it looks like that lone Colossus will be enough. But a couple more, 9 total workers going down here. And, well, ByuN's doing a great job getting some damage done. Just doing what he can to target, really get any sort of damage he can get done here. And this is not the impenetrable Protoss that we've seen for the first 4 games of this series. Stats is looking more and more human as the night goes on.
Yeah, it might be a little bit of series fatigue happening on his part. Can't really say what's going on here, but ByuN just really good at finding those chinks in the armor and exploiting them. And now it's kind of Stats in the position of defense. He can't really move out. He's kind of boxed himself in, even if ByuN's not out on the map. Even getting that Warp Prism, just really nice pickoffs for ByuN. Just everywhere he's getting those small wins.
Now you got to remember, again, with those first 4 games, Stats won a lot of those games because ByuN moved out on the map. Said, look, I'm gonna go pressure. I'm not gonna leave anything at home. And the Warp Prism just sharked in. 10 Zealots, 20 Zealots ran in, and ByuN died, right? He just lost all of his economy. He said, okay, GG. Actually, that's what happened on this map the last time it got played. And ByuN has done such a good job these last 3 games of shutting the Warp Prism down. Because, of course, that's valuable robo build time. And that is that Stats would much rather be building Colossus, be building Disruptors, building the things that actually provide for his army, that allow him to fight better.
Yeah, exactly. And just the big thing is, like you said, he's shutting down Stats' response to anything he's doing. And now it looks like we're going to be seeing a big push here, and there is so much with this Terran army. He's currently up about 12 to 13 army supply. And while that doesn't seem like a lot here, we don't really have that many Disruptors out just now. Yeah, he's only got those 2, so once those shots are used up, it's going to be difficult, especially if he can get those siege tanks in a really nice position, although Stats already ready with the backstab.
Yeah, absolutely. Now Stats sitting here down army supply, down total supply. And actually, ByuN is in a great economic position despite that. But now we have ByuN running and doing what he can, but this Disruptor will not land. Second one will, but I'm not sure that's enough. These tanks are still firing free. The Vikings in a great position. And ByuN, he is powering through. Now, we do have a couple Disruptors moving in here, doing what they can, but ByuN's just going to stim on top of them.
God.
They will all die. And ByuN just barely has enough to poke through here.
Those Colossus going down as well. It is pure gateway units and 1 Disruptor, so ByuN able to shut down that tech of his opponent, and that's really going to open up the field for him to continue this attack. I'm losing my voice because this is so epic right now. But yeah, you can see there is no rest. The second he gets rid of those tech units from the Protoss player, it's just pure gateway, and he knows he can fight that all day. Look at that.
Yeah, no, It's great. We're seeing ByuN learn from previous games as well, as he kept the rally at home, but now it is moving across the map, and we do see the army of ByuN in here once again. Stats doing what he can, and actually that's going to be a pretty big disruptor shot as ByuN microbes himself into a corner, but the trades are so good, and we have more and more of the Terran army coming in from the middle side. These disruptors will go down. The Stalkers are going to go down, and Stats here on death's doorstep. 1 game away, and we're going to game number 9.
That is how you come back in a series. ByuN, you are a madman. You are an awesome guy, and you have proven that you are almost back to that four horsemen of. I literally had a brain fart there. The 4 horsemen of Terran.
Absolutely. You know, people tell stories of Sulky versus Innovation, the start heart of the Swarm. The only reverse all kill in the GSL finals. And granted, this is a $200 tournament. It's not the GSL. But I don't think I've ever reverse kills in general are so rare. Reverse sweeps, whatever you want to call it. This is a reverse kill in a potentially. Now we are in game number 9 here. We don't know who's going to win yet. But should ByuN come back from a 4-0 deficit, run it all the way back, win 5 games in a row, reverse sweep a best of 9? Are you kidding me? That just doesn't happen.
Well, that's so much harder to do. Every single, best of 7, it's hard to do. Best of 5, it's hard to do. Best of 3, yeah, pretty easy. But, but 9 games, you got to win 5 in a row. 5. I can't even count that high because I went to public school, but
yeah, I don't think I win. I think I win 5 games a day when I'm playing. But you know, these players are absolutely better than I am. So maybe that's got something to do with it. As Death Aura will be our 9th and final game of this series, and we're all loaded into it.
Yes, sirree, Bob. And you know what? Talking about this guy, Afrika Freak has got a legend on the roster. He may be on death's doorstep, but that also means he has one chance to win it all. Spawning up here in the top position, he is Stats.
And on the bottom side, in the bottom right, fighting and clawing and do whatever he can to find his way into this game number 9 in the red. Give it up for ByuN.
And it looks like he's already going back to what he knows best. He's got the SCV for the NG block already halfway across the map. I don't think this is going to be for a proxy because he doesn't need to proxy. He is already showing his dominance over and over again in the last couple of games.
Well,
so
you got to remember, one of those builds that did allow him to start the sweep back was a weird proxy. And, you know, technically an eBay is proxy too, but, you know, you talk about proxies not needing to show dominance through proxies. Well, that is absolutely something that allowed him to start this reverse sweep on the way. But yeah, you're right. This will just be an eBay block this time. And Stats has got to be a little iffy at this point. He's been on match point for the last 4 maps. He has been in positions to put this away, to take his pound of flesh and move on. And every time ByuN has stifled him. Every time ByuN says, I will not die. I will keep fighting. I will find new ways to win. I'm going to keep pushing through. So that's not a good feeling here for Stats.
Oh, no, definitely. The momentum is certainly in ByuN's favor right now. It just has to be with 4 games under your belt in a row, I might add. And yeah, I mean, it's pretty much ByuN's pick of what he does right now. I think Stats is going to have to play not just defensively, but he's also going to have to play very reactionally to what ByuN's doing. He just can't stick with what he's doing. He's got to react.
Yeah, absolutely. And we do see that 1-1 before Command Center, so we will see a couple Hellions coming out here. But we don't see us SCV on the map. We don't see prep for any sort of proxy starport. Actually, we do have Stats checking all over the map for that. ByuN has shown his proclivities. He's shown his inclinations to go do for that, and Stats is aware of this. Says,
well, that's what he did last time on this map. Yeah, that's exactly what he did last time. So, you know, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. He thinks ByuN is going to be an old dog with no new tricks.
Well, you know what? I really like this here from Stats. He says, you know what? This Stargate build, it hasn't lurked the last 4 games. I won the 4 games that I went a Blink opener. I looked real good. That's what I'm going to do this game. I'm going to go back to what works against this player. And in general, yes, Stats' Stargate play is exceptional against Terran. He does a great job of shutting down everything, but ByuN's got that magic juice. ByuN has that little bit of something extra. Je ne sais quoi, that allows him to get damage done where maybe his opponent actually, okay, I like this a lot. Stats has walled off the front, which means any sort of Hellions coming in here will not be able to do so. Stats is well aware. He's like, look, I will not fall to this in game number 7. I know what you're up to. These 4 Hellions, they want to do something. I'm not even going to make you deal with some sort of Reaper bump. I'm just never going to let you in. And I really like this from Stats, actually.
Yeah, we've seen when ByuN can start to get that worker kills, that's when it really starts to snowball for him. Honestly, he might be thinking that it's still that Stargate play because he did get that 1 Cyclone. And honestly, that's not super useful unless it is Stargate play. So ByuN might be playing it a little bit safe as well on the back. But yeah, just that wall off, doing whatever he can to slow down ByuN from getting that damage.
Absolutely. Now, on the flip side, of course, this does mean that any sort of third Nexus is not at a good timing here for Stats. When you see this Blink opener, you see 3-gate Blink, for the most part, you see a rather quick third base. You see it at around 430, 420, certainly before 5 minutes, for the most part. Granted, doesn't look like that's what Stats is doing this game, as he prefers getting into Colossus tech maybe a little bit faster. But now we do have Stats moving across the map, and the Hellions have found potentially their opening once again, but it looks like they're going to be forced back. There are enough Stalkers left at home that Stats will be able to stay defensive and be able to not take any damage from that. And I think this is the first game we've seen where ByuN has committed to that Stalker build and has not been able to get any sort of damage done whatsoever.
Yeah, and I think this is this is what Stats has been doing in his winning games, going for that 4 Stalker Blink. He's only going to get 2 in there, so a bit of a misblink there. Actually going to add a lot of damage to those Stalkers if Stats is not careful there. Hellions still kind of jumping around here. They're not really looking for an opening anymore. They're kind of just trying to pretend like they don't exist for right now. But I think ByuN has actually shut himself in pretty darn tightly. Even if he has kind of delayed his siege tank production to get that Cyclone. And look at that. He actually sees the Observer and wants to pick that off. But yeah, he just decides it's not even worth it. I'm just going to go anyway. I was going to do it anyway.
Yeah, so we do hear in the background, we do hear that bunker. It has been salvaged, so this is the timing for Ben to move across the map, try to see what he can get done here. And he's not moving across with a lot of tanks. There's only 1 tank on the map at this point. So this is ByuN sacrificing tech for speed and maybe hitting a timing that Stats will not expect. Or not, he's just going to move out and kill the rocks, as I talk about. Oh, yes, he's going to only hit with 1 tank and do this kind of cool play where he's going to hit maybe a little bit faster. No. That's not ByuN's play here in this game number 7.
No, that's the thing. Like, on this map especially, he does love to kill off the rock path, just open up a shorter view to himself. Gets the Observer in the background, by the way. But this really opens it up because he does take that forward third base position, and really it just any way you can get faster units across the map here. And actually, no. Oh, no. This Colossus is actually really wide open here. ByuN skis it. Force fields, not enough to push it back, but the reinforcements will be enough to keep it alive.
And we have the 1 Sentry's going to do what it can to tickle away at things. And yeah, ByuN's going to stim on top of these, but I don't think there's just enough Marines here. I mean, Colossi killed them tremendously well. And well, we're going to have Stalkers. They're going to blink on top of these tanks. 1 tank is going to go down. Stalkers going to blink on the right-hand side as well. And Stats has held this incredibly well as he micros back. He does lose 1 Colossus, but I think that, well, as I say that, ByuN with the rallies coming in, ByuN's taking a pretty good fight, but now we do have Disruptors on the way. Now ByuN stimming on top of this Colossus, doing what he can, but there is just enough fodder here that ByuN will be forced to pick up and run back. And sure, ByuN's got a third base. It's not done yet, though. 49 SCVs to 64 probes, and I think we're seeing a rehash of those earlier games.
I'm not too sure just yet. Yeah, you are right that we are getting into kind of a similar situation to the last time we were on this map. But this time, ByuN is mixing it up a little bit. He's actually adding in Liberators, so I don't know if he's going to keep those with the main army or if he's going to go for a little bit of harassment with them. But just small little changes here and there to kind of switch it up, keep things rolling.
I don't see any Liberators on the production tab, and I don't see any Liberators on the field.
He just canceled them.
I imagine he's... Yeah, that's interesting.
Okay, maybe a bit of a misclick there. It's like the random swarm host for Zerg players.
Yeah, that does happen. Now, Liberators, of course, they are incredibly good against disruptors, right? The Liberators range, and it's pretty good there. But we're just not... I don't think we're at that stage of the game yet where ByuN wants to go into that. And that's really not how... ByuN doesn't really play this stead and leapfrogging style. No, ByuN, he's frenetic as hell. He's just going to do what he can to, like, just push in there and keep pushing and pushing and pushing and shove your face in. So the significant amount of Liberators does not strike me as the type of game that ByuN wants to play.
No, he definitely doesn't like those slow siege games. He just really likes to get into your face as quickly as possible. Now, we do have that War Prism in position down in the bottom left. The Vikings not in a way to block that. ByuN, though, I think he actually has an inkling of it because he has a small force that he sent back to defend against that. Disruptor not going to get the first shot. A nice little whiff there for him. And ByuN actually just going to back up there because he feels like that War Prism is going to be a bigger hassle than necessary.
Yeah, it's crazy seeing how much damage Warp Prisms can potentially do. Actually, I really like the stats. You know what? Okay, I know you got Vikings. I forced you back once again. You're only on 3 bases. I'm going to recall. I need this more. And yeah, we do have double Liberator on the way here from ByuN. So maybe it wasn't a misclick. Maybe it was just, well, maybe it was a misclick, but not a stylistically.
Oh, no.
And now the Warp Prism's going to run on top of it. Going to not die. Oh.
Okay, he does have War Prism. He does have War Prism speed. That literally saved his life there.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. That was very visible.
So Army Supply is actually super even here, 103 to 102. But Stats is going to start hit his stride once again. He's got the reinforcements on lockdown, actually forcing ByuN back. But ByuN actually going to tank the army in the front, get a couple nice pickoffs here, but actually not taking that much damage at home.
And actually, yeah, these Liberators, they're doing great work. They're making sure that any sort of Zealot run-bys they do go in, they will get cleaned up eventually. But again, the big damage here, more than anything else, actually these Zealots are doing a great work, killing 12 workers. So I say the big damage, but the significant part of this is ByuN is still on 3 bases. And Stats has forced ByuN to return once again. And every time this happens, Stats gets a lead. He gets a 4th base. He's mining off the 4th base. He gets double forge up. He finds himself up 1 upgrade. He's now going to find himself up 3. He finds time for a Dark Templar tech, whatever the case may be. He's building himself into this late-game powerhouse that is absolutely terrifying.
Indeed, this Disruptor.
Oh, that Disruptor ball.
Going to get some
they go
really
so
nice
fast.
hits. Yeah, just an amazing hit right there for that Disruptor ball. Stats just kind of pushing his way forward. He already had that Zealot run by already set and good to go, but that might just join up with the push here as Stats up 20 supply total is going to come in for a full 360 surround here.
And now we have Stats stemming on. He's going to blink on top of this tank, do what he can. Charge lots from every angle. Disruptor balls hitting everywhere. And it looks like Stats, he's maybe found his opening. He just maybe has enough. And ByuN put up a great fight. He was down 0-4. He took us to the ace match. He took us to game number 9. But unfortunately, it looks like the magic has run out. And sure, these Liberators, they're doing a good job. They're killing off all the Stalkers. But there's just not enough. And Stats takes the series. Takes it in 9 games. And there we have it.